So you prepare exactly what you're going to say. You hone it down to the word. You put it in the teleprompter in front of you. It's on paper as a backup. You get all ready to start, and then protesters. It's never happened to me. We're in the studio. But it happened to Governor Polis today at his State of the State address. After a short protest delay, he launched into a series of promises that he hopes your tax dollars can keep. Here's politics guy Marshall Zellinger.
Good morning, everyone.
So how was your morning? Oil and gas protesters delayed the start of Governor Jared Polis's second State of the State address, 38 of them arrested by Denver police. When the rest of them hit the road, we got to hear about how Colorado should pay for roads. And it sounds different than Polis was pitching last year.
We need to come together around a bipartisan funding mechanism to meet our current and future transportation needs that the voters of this state will accept.
Well, that was Proposition CC, and voters did not accept it. So what does the governor have to say in 2020?
Thus, Coloradans look to us in this building to think big and do more to fund our roads.
And that might mean taking voters out of the equation.
We think punting to the voters has played out. It hasn't worked. If they want to rise to the occasion and actually do something about congestion and traffic and access to the mountains on weekends, they're going to need to work together to do it here.
It might revolve around the state's gas tax, but any change to the gas tax will mean another ballot issue to vote on. His number one issue last year did not need voter approval.
Our top priority this session is empowering every single Colorado community to offer free, full-day kindergarten in our great state of Colorado.
He got it, and we covered it as a Polis promise kept. So now what?
I'm committed to achieving universal access to quality preschool for 4-year-olds by the end of my first term.
Polis got $175 million for full-day kindergarten. How much does he need for free preschool?
We provide some preschool funding today. It just doesn't reach everybody. Many families have to pay for preschool. We're working on expanding that access.
We didn't get a number out of him, but we know he has asked for $27 million this year to add 6,000 new state-funded preschool spots. If he gets it, the state would be able to provide preschool for half of the 80,000 eligible. One of the things I thought was most interesting is probably boring. It's about $118 million that the governor wants to put directly into the state's piggy bank. And that's $118 million that lawmakers might want to fight over for possibly roads and schools. And the other thing that was interesting, he took a jab at the Colorado Hospital Association because he wants a public health option. And he touted how much they're making in profits and said they're already putting ads on there. They're taking their profits for overcharging people and putting ads on the air to tell you this is a bad idea.
He's telegraphing a fight to come where he thinks the hospitals are going to go public, tell everybody at home to kind of lean on the legislature over this issue.
And if you have, any bully pulpit, that's a big bully pulpit, state of the state.
All right. Thank you, Marshall. So we've talked about it here. I don't like how this mystery drone situation is shaping up. Because, think about the options. Either somebody's up to no good out there, or it's just a prank and the FAA cannot figure it out. That's also not good. Or the government is lying to us when they say it's not them. Also not good. And now the news that a drone came too close to a Flight for Life helicopter recently. The governor agrees. This is not a joke anymore.
Just today, I talked to our director of public safety to do more state monitoring. We used one of our state planes to do flyovers a couple days ago looking for heat signatures. We didn't detect any. We're going to be doing that again. We're asking our local law enforcement about what's going on. I was most concerned when I saw an article, I think it was today or yesterday, that there was a near miss from a Flight for Life helicopter and a drone that was operating. To me, this is no longer a novelty. I think we need to figure out what's going on before any accident occurs.
We're learning more about how drones work, it seems, every day. And today we learned that there is technology that can detect drones in the air, something called aeroscope.
The aircraft themselves are always broadcasting telemetry back to the operator. So their altitude, their distance, their height, their speed, their orientation.
Aeroscope can only get that information from drones that are made by the same company or potentially ones built with DJI components. Well over 80% of the drone market is DJI, so there's a decent chance that they might be able to solve this mystery. There's a company called Compass Drone in Centennial that can do this and says that it's more than willing to help if law enforcement just asks. Some Republican senators in Washington are vocally criticizing the Trump administration's recent briefing on Iran, but not Colorado Senator Cory Gardner. after fellow Republicans said that the administration's explanation of its actions was insane and unacceptable. This is Republicans, mind you. After that, Gardner went to the Senate floor in defense of President Trump and the briefing.
The president made the right call at the right time to neutralize the threat and to save American lives. Imagine having done nothing and allowing the attacks to proceed. At yesterday's classified briefing, General Milley and our national security personnel made it clear the death of General Soleimani saved lives.
Democrats in Congress are preparing a resolution to limit President Trump's war powers to reinforce Congress's discretion to declare war. A few Republicans in the House of Senate have said that they will vote for that Democratic idea. There's no sign, though, that Senator Gardner is going to break with the president. You have told us to pay close attention to safety issues on Denver's streets. And today, the city went right after one of the worst corridors along Colfax. 15 intersections along East Colfax are getting pedestrian makeovers. Protective posts and new signs and paint, all intended to shorten the distance that pedestrians need to cover to cross Colfax safely. Denver had 71 traffic deaths in 2019. That's the most in the last 7 years. Denver's goal, we've told you, is zero, literally zero. Vision Zero aims at no traffic deaths or serious injuries by 2030.
The fact that we're still seeing a lump sum increase year over year is something that we're going to continue to monitor and figure out ways that we can quickly implement projects like this throughout the city to try to, again, get our numbers down.
If you're curious whether those pedestrian safety measures are needed, our photojournalist Mike Grady was out there taking pictures of how this will work and watched a semi mowing down construction cones next to the newly installed posts. Good job, bud. You are being invited to complain if you live or pass through Parker. Those complaints are helping police figure out where people are breaking traffic rules, and it's also encouraging accountability from law enforcement. Anusha Roy explains.
Not only do Parker police want you to complain about other drivers,
You're 9 over.
they're making it as easy as possible.
Is just the sheer volume. The number of people who are actually using this tool. You go to the Let's Talk Parker website.
And in under 3 minutes, you should be able to drop a pin where people are running red lights, speeding, or plowing through crosswalks when they really should be stopping for people. So far, 1,100 pins have been dropped in just under 2 years.
They're looking out their window or they're hearing the car speeding, and they can spend a minute and let us know right away. Then that's something that we can start to see as a trend.
Trends officers might otherwise miss, but along the way they realized they were missing something themselves, accountability. So this morning they started dropping their own pins so people could see where they were responding.
Here on Heirloom Parkway.
Take this morning as an example when the department got 6 complaints about Heirloom and Maroney.
42.
So this officer followed the pins to this neighborhood to greet drivers with a radar gun.
How you doing? You're 13 miles per hour over the speed limit.
And the tactic of meandering into the crosswalk to stop the cars.
You passed a couple signs back there. All right. We had a lot of complaints through here.
If you've placed a pin here 4 months in a row and we still haven't done enforcement, then we're not doing our job. We're not listening to you.
It's that kind of feedback police said they will use to gauge how well this works. And Parker PD says they've got enough people to respond to a lot of these concerns because they've got the time.
We're fortunate. We live in a great community that doesn't have a large crime rate, so we are able to dedicate that.
So this isn't a place to drop a pin about a car crash. The police are saying, please still call 911 for that. And maybe you noticed during the story that officer wasn't giving out a lot of tickets. He said his first priority is to talk to as many people as possible to slow down, and then he starts writing those tickets if the situation warrants it.
Seems like a pretty decent idea. A lot of folks doing this?
Yeah, so we called a whole bunch of agencies in the area. Everybody who got back to us today said, no, they don't really have anything like that. They're still doing the old-fashioned email and forms and hoping to hear from people that way.
I like this, though. It seems productive and a lot less racist than Nextdoor.
Yeah,
exactly. That's good, too. All right. Thank you, Nusha. We are complimenting RTD on 2 consecutive nights on this program, which might be a record. But you got to head into them. They're being responsive to rider concerns about the constant cancellations by offering a bit more transparency. Starting tomorrow, RTD will post advance notice of the light rail trips that they think are going to be canceled in the week ahead. They're going to put it on the rider alerts page. Now, obviously, they are so short-staffed that when drivers call out sick on any given day, that will mean more cancellations. So you do have to check day of. Last month, RTD updated its Next Ride app so that riders can get real-time cancellation information, and they're hoping to be able to give you text notifications later this year. Mother Nature is smoking hot. The reason that Colorado gets treated to these scenes is science. And we meet another creative Coloradan doing something we never imagined somebody would do.
I step back and I get pretty proud of it every now and again and go, well, doggone it, that's sort of remarkable.
Art from what's usually trash. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is how a state legislator is preparing for her youngest constituent. When their baby boy is born at the end of this month, Democratic State Senator Sen Patterson and her husband Ian Silveri have the blanket ready. Look what somebody made for them. It's a baby blanket decorated with Colorado's 7 congressional districts. You may remember Ian used to be our Democratic political analyst here on Next. That's pretty cool. So Patterson's going to be the first state senator to have a baby while in office, the first senator to have a baby during session as well. And that could end up creatively timing some votes in the state Senate. So Democrats are in control there. 1916 is the vote count. Without Patterson's votes, some of the more controversial bills the Democrats want to push past Republicans will need every single vote. They get one defection from their ranks, and they don't have the votes. So what does that mean while she's on maternity leave?
It does put some pressure, of course, on me to try to get back as soon as I can. But I feel very lucky that leadership and my colleagues support me taking time to take care of myself, take care of my baby. And I can come in when I absolutely need to, but there's going to be limitations to that as well.
Things get really interesting in committees when you have contentious bills. So last year, Senator Patterson served on the Transportation Committee and the Health and Human Services Committee. She asked this year, with the baby coming, that she be taken off of committees altogether, so her absence won't hold up bills on, say, road funding or health care.
Beautiful start to the day. The sunrise, oh my gosh, just stunning. Shannon Lucan's capturing this one, and if you squint, you can kind of see the tents out there at DIA. This afternoon into this evening, you probably notice those clouds quickly racing in. They're here, and so is the snow, especially up in the Front Range Mountains and foothills. Snowfall coming down. It's fairly light, but still, we might find a few flurries across the Denver metro area this evening through tomorrow morning. So that might slow you down just a hair on that early morning drive. Tonight, we're down to 19, so it will be a cold one. Winds out of the east-northeast about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Teens and 20s going out east, single digits, and teens up in the high country. And here we are about 10 p.m. tonight. Little rain first, and then it quickly switches over to snow. We'll be tracking that snowfall along I-76 and I-80 early tomorrow morning with just a couple of lingering flurries here across the Denver metro area. As the day goes on, the snowfall more confined across the far eastern side of the state, and then everything scoots out by 5 o'clock. Perfect timing, Mother Nature, as we head toward the weekend. Should be a nice clear evening once that storm moves out. Snowfall amounts not impressive, just a dusting from this one here in the city, perhaps up to an inch around the foothills and the southwestern side of town. Tomorrow, even though we have the clouds out there, it will be a bit windy out of the north-northeast, 10 to 20 miles per hour, and much cooler too, with highs only in the 30s, teens and 20s up in the mountains. We should warm up just in time for the weekend, and right now it looks calm and dry as we head toward next week.
Our next question comes from a viewer named Tanya, one of a number of you stunned by this morning's sunrise. And she was curious what made this sunrise more vivid than most. And so many people sent us beautiful photos of this morning's sunrise. And there is a recipe for the sky to look like that. It has to do with the time of year, low pollution, high clouds, and the angle of the sun. Because in the early morning hours, sunlight has to travel farther through the atmosphere because of the low sun angle. Because the light travels a longer distance, colors like violet and blue scatter away from our eyes with their shorter wavelengths. The longer wavelengths, the reds, oranges, pinks, and yellows, they're more visible as well. Science. Science which I did not know. We looked it up in an explainer from our old friend Belen De Leon, who's now working out in Los Angeles. She went out there a couple years ago, but we assume that the science of sunrises hasn't changed. Send us the questions that you'd like us to answer. Email next@9news.com or give us a shout with the hashtag HeyNext. My toddler is obsessed with them. He makes art out of them.
I have bought fruit with 10 or 12 stickers on one piece of fruit on more than one occasion.
His creations. Next. If there is something Coloradans can't make art out of, we have not found it yet. So there's this guy who goes by Wild Man, Barry Snyder, up in Erie. He makes art out of something we throw away each day.
My name's Barry. Yeah, I'm an artist, I guess. All right, hold on here. My medium. Well, I call them produce stickers. These Pure Hearts are gonna make his top hat. Yeah, I've been in some galleries over the years, and I've done 30, 35 original pieces, maybe 40. There's John Lennon, there's American Gothic. This is Carmen Miranda and her hat full of fruit. This door is a jar. It's a jar of pickles. I'm doing a tribute to my hometown. It's Oshkosh beer, just proud of where I came from. What's on the floor here is all donation stuff that's come to me in the mail. So I've probably got between 40 and 50 people that save them for me and send them to me in the mail. It's Elmer's glue. You need glue, because the sticker glue goes bad. That fruit gave up its life for you to survive and had to sacrifice its dignity by having this stupid sticker put on it so they could figure out how to sell it to you. And I think that fruit deserves some recognition for the sacrifice it made to keep you alive. And that's my mission in life. Strange but true. I wouldn't make this stuff up.
Strange but true seems very, very apt. Barry uses up to 10,000 of those fruit stickers in a single piece of art, which he says can take up to a year to complete. If you feel like saving your fruit stickers and then mailing them to Barry, I might do this with my toddler. He offered up his address. We put it in this article on 9news.com. Our Throwback Thursday takes us back to the wickedest street in America, when Model Ts lined the avenue and hamburgers were 5 cents. And we will decipher a piece of your feedback that was so baffling, we made a graphic. Next. On this Throwback Thursday, we go back to Colfax. Decades ago, Colfax in Downing. And here's what it looked like in the 1930s and 1940s. Model Ts up and down the street, the Budweiser in there to the left, hamburgers for sale to the right. You see the Capitol Dome in the background along with the Basilica. And here is that same stretch of Colfax today. You add some RTD buses, a little bit more traffic, and no 5-cent hamburger to be found. Our feedback this evening has a theme. It is an ode to Anusha, our friend and colleague. A woman who wrote in and asked to remain nameless says, several months ago, when Anusha was filling in for you as host, I wrote in saying I did not think she was doing a proper job. I have to reverse my opinion, as she has been doing an excellent job. How about that? I think we respect somebody who's willing to change their mind about something. And Nicholas wrote in to say, I may be mistaken, but Anusha just came back from vacation in New Jersey. I swear she had a hard New Yorker accent on her. What? No.
Oh, geography time. Okay, here we are, Colorado. I don't know how I got placed on the East Coast. I'm from Seattle.
It's that hard Seattle accent on you,
I know,
Anusha.
right? It really gets you.
Hard Seattle accent.